what are the kind of the primary things on the minds of your members right now?
Well, they really fall into two categories. One is taking the existing framework that we have in Tennessee and tweaking it to make what we have better. That would involve statutes like what we call the parking lot bill, so that someone who has a carry permit can commute back and forth to work and leave the weapon in their vehicle while at work without being at risk for being either criminally prosecuted or losing their job for cause, which denies them unemployment benefits. That's sort of what we think of as the technical fixes. Another one is school grounds. Current Tennessee law says that if you have a carry permit, you can go on school grounds if you're picking up or dropping off a passenger. So the parents that run, drop-offs can have a permit, drive on the school grounds, drop their kids off, but that same parent can't go back and have lunch with their child unless they leave the gun somewhere else. And so like one of the school grounds fixes is to say if you've got a permit, you go to school grounds for any reason, as long as the gun stays secured in the car, it shouldn't be an issue. Another one is the parks legislation that they passed within the last 2 years. There is a 2-year history now showing that it has not caused a problem in the state or federal parks which are open. Matter of fact, I was camping last week in Big South Fork, and 17 of us from high school were up there together, and they were all carrying guns because there's a gun range in the park and we were going to go shoot. But local communities have opted out of that restriction. So you have the problem like in Nashville that Centennial Park is closed, but Bicentennial Mall, a state park, is open. And then you've got these other problems like Metro designating that little green space across from the library on Church Street as an official park. So I can walk the sidewalk around it, but I can't cut through it. What difference does it make? And so parks would be one of the ones where we want them to say it needs to be a standard uniform rule statewide on a park instead of hit or miss.
I was just going to say you probably get resistance on the grounds of local control, basically from opponents on that issue.
Yes, yeah. That's where the resistance was the last time. Is local government said we don't want you telling us what we can do with our local resources, and so they want to be able to maintain the bans. And I think what the legislature did when they passed it, some of the legislators that I knew and talked with, they said let's give them the option and see what they do with it. And if they abuse it, we'll come back and take the option away. And so what you saw was some cities across the state, counties, because either one can do it, did not close their parks. Knoxville, for example, Haslam didn't opt out, but he left an old ordinance in place, so it's a fine but not a criminal charge. Jackson did not close their parks. Clarksville closed them and now has opened them. Montgomery County never closed them. And so what you've got is this patchwork across the state. If you're traveling to local parks, you don't know if they're open or closed because there's no signage requirements on the parks as to whether they're open or closed.